Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Thursday, the 23rd of November. Starting off with the FTSE and still stuck below that 50-day moving average, around 75.10, below that risk of having to test support towards 7,400. Worst case is we have to test that uptrend line from back in March at 7,300. In the unlikely event of an end-of-day close back above that 50-day line, we're really looking for the top of that falling trend channel from February at 76.50 now, and ideally we hit that over the next couple of weeks after this current consolidation is finished. RSI just above the neutral 50 level, so not much really to tell from that at the moment. Moving along to the DAX, which is still pushing slowly higher. We've got the main resistance post-August resistance at 16,000, so obviously a psychological number there. Above that, looking for a retest of July resistance, 16,500 sometime over the next couple of weeks, hopefully. On the downside, not really anticipating anything weaker than the 200-day line, currently at 15,700. Both the 50 and 200-day lines are both rising at the moment, so that means we're in the run-up to a golden cross, which hopefully will mean that this market ends the year on a high note. Speaking of high notes, we've got the Dow, and here doing rather better than the DAX. We've broken through that August resistance, 35,100, let's call it, and looks like we're heading quite keenly towards the top of that rising trend channel from this time last year, 36,100, and we expect to see that by the end of next month, or hopefully much sooner after the bear trap gap reversal and the unfilled gaps to the upside that we've had. Very impressive stuff indeed there. Moving along to Bitcoin, and here the position is of a rather strange looking flag, but what's good about this is that we have found new support at old resistance, the old October resistance 35,000, and higher low there for the middle of this month, and another higher low basically this week. Just waiting for that end of day close through 38,000 to give us a target towards 43 or even 44,000 by the end of this month. Obviously, there's not much time left, but if we get through 38,000, one would expect this market to move quite quickly, maybe in the way that it did in the middle of October. On to gold, which I've been including in the last few days, and the reason is obviously we're back above the $2,000 level, hopefully for good. Key reversal to the upside yesterday, and pushing through the old October resistance 2020. We're still looking for 2060 or so, which is that May resistance line projection, hopefully over the next week. We've got the 50 and 200-day lines both rising in parallel now, so that's a pretty nice background for this market. Moving along to crude oil, which has also rebounded after the little scare down towards the low 70s. We've got a support line there for $75. Want to see a clearance of $80 basically, which was the recent resistance area, to give us a move up towards the 50-day line at $84 maybe by the end of this year. The worst that we're looking for is just that $75 area if we can't get through the 200-day moving average, where we are just below at the moment. On to pound dollar, which managed to survive the Chancellor's tax cuts, or were they tax cuts? Nobody knows. Here we've got rising 50 and 200-day line on cable. That is at $1.2450. Above that, we're looking for, and we have been looking for, $127.40, which is the post-September triangle there on the daily chart. Moving on to the stocks, and rather a lot of them actually, maybe too many, but anyway, I couldn't resist and couldn't choose between the different ones. Here we've got Audioboom to start, where we've had a rebound above the rising 50-day moving average around 162 pence. Above that, we're looking obviously quite simply for a retest of recent November resistance at £2.20. On to Bidstack, which has been not the best of situations over the last year or so, but here we've got the chance of a rising trend channel base. We bounced off that at the turn of the week, and what we're looking for now really is an end of the week close above the 50-day moving average around 0.35. If we can get that, then it could be up to as high as 0.6 pence by the end of next month, and that would fill the gap down that we had back in September. As you can see, though, that the momentum here is so week for this stock that in general we've had the 50-day line as the failure point, so we had that back in August, and there's nothing to stop, I suppose, the same kind of horrible scenario happening again. But let's see if we can get through the 50-day line on an end-of-day close basis for a change at Bidstack. On to Bushveld Minerals, which I've covered quite a lot, and it's come up with the goods. So we hit our initial target there around 2.25 pence. Above that, we're looking for 3.25 pence as soon as the end of next month, and maybe even sooner than that. The 50-day line rising very nicely now, so that should push this market up to the 200-day line. Even if we fail again, we've obviously failed a couple of times in the recent past at that 200-day moving average, but that's still decent upside from here. We had exploration news from Shat Gold, and here the idea that the stock was turning around was delivered by the unfilled gap to the upside, which we had late last month, and we've had gaps higher since. Some neckline resistance around 6 pence, which has now become support, and above 6 we're looking for the resistance on the way down in the summer around 9.75 pence, hopefully by the end of December. On to Gear for Music, which is not exactly a punting stock, but the chart situation looking quite healthy. We've had a rebound above a rising 200-day line, 50-day line rising as well, and that old target there around £1.28 now hopefully going to be support, and we'll head up to the top of that broad chart channel there from the beginning of the year, £1.73, perhaps as soon as the end of next month. Jersey is next, and here it looks as though finally that sticky £2 to £2.20 area may have been conquered. Obviously don't want to speak too soon. We want to see the shares remain above basically 218, which is the bottom of the old gap that we had there. So above 220, 218, 220, looking for the £2.80 area as a best case scenario. Obviously we failed below that today, the high 265. But as I said, it would be good to see the shares remain above the 218 to 220 area ahead of a move up towards 280. But it still looks as though one or two pesky sellers in the mix there at the moment. IMC has done exactly what we wanted it to do. So we had we spotted the mid-move consolidation, that V-shaped bull flag, as I call it, above 1.4. We were looking for 2.1 pence, above 2.1 pence, which we are now. Looking for a new upgraded target as high as 3.2 pence by the end of next month. But ideally, we stay on the right side of 2 pence ahead of a move up to 3.2. New name is next, and here Myanmar Investments has broken recent resistance around 10 pence or just below 10 pence. We're looking for up to 21 pence by the end of next month. And that's helped, by the way, the 50 and 200-day moving averages are now both rising quite well, heading for, hopefully, a golden cross. Next up is Novacyt, and here, a bit of a rocky ride in the recent past, but the share's gapping up again, this time through the 50-day line, which was the barrier earlier in the month. Above that, which is at 54 pence, we're looking for a move back up towards the mid-60s at least, which was the last major resistance on the way down. Hopefully we'll get that over the next couple of weeks and stay above the gap area at 51 pence. Oracle Power obviously been pummeled a bit over the course of the autumn, but it does look as though it's trying its best to come back. We've got trendline break there, which was around the 0.02 area, and looking for up to 0.05 pence by the end of this year if we remain above that resistance line break area just under 0.03 pence. Predator, never a dull moment, hardly ever a dull moment, and here you can see the shares after that consolidation that we've had since August, and the gap down look as though they're ready to perk up again. Initial target here, the top of that gap there at 14 pence, hopefully over the next couple of weeks. Best case scenario is that we head to the top of that broadening triangle from July as high as 18 pence by the end of next month, after the multiple bear traps below the rising 200-day line. The fact that that's rising, a big positive on the technicals. Next one is Petrel, and here we've got a position where shares managed to hit an initial target there around 1.75 pence. Obviously they've come back now, but above 1.75 we're looking for 2.1 or 2.2 pence by the end of next month. Want to see the shares stay on the right side of 1.6 pence, the old September resistance for that situation. Good stuff still from Phoenix Copper, just still shy of my target there, around 34 pence. End of day close through 34, and we could be on our way up to the upper 40s and retesting the February resistance area. Obviously, we're waiting for some fundamental news to come into play there for that situation. RUA, one of the stars of earlier this month, or at least earlier this week, hit all our targets. The upper one up towards 55 pence, in fact, exceeded that. Current situation is that we're seeing whether the shares can stay above 30 pence, which was resistance on the way down. We went down to 29 earlier today, but above 30 pence on an end of day close basis. Looking for a retest of the 40 pence area, even if the shares get tired after that. Moving on to the last three. First one is an old favourite of mine, Silver Bullet. Here we've broken to new higher ground within that rising trend channel from back in May. The top of the channel now promising a target as high as £1.55, and that could happen as soon as the end of this year. It seems to be a very smooth progression, even though we had a little bear trap below the 80 pence level earlier this month. Upside valid while we're above the resistance of September, October around 105. I think that's probably reasonable risk reward on that situation. We see the return of Totally, which maybe it's a bit early, but we've got that sideways shuffle at and above a 50-day moving average, so that looks very encouraging. That's at 7.1 pence above that, and that sort of U-shaped bull flag that I call it, looking for 11 pence by the end of next month, or maybe even sooner than that. Looks like there's a turnaround there. Some keen-looking candles over the course of earlier this month as well. Finishing off with the spoof of the autumn, which was Upland Resources. Here we've had that range between 2 and 2.8 pence. End of day close above 2.8, and we're looking to fill that gap up to 3.75 over the next couple of weeks, and maybe even by the end of this month. So it looks as though the shares may finally be in recovery mode. That rising 50-day line very helpful as well. In fact, the 50 and 200 days are both rising at the moment. That's it from me today. More updates tomorrow.